Welcome, ESPN 1700. It's the lunch hour. Mr. Credit is here with the Z-Man, Zephyr Hill, Goldberg Jones, 1-800-DIVORCE here in San Diego. A lot of exciting things happening. Obviously, huge game tonight at Qualcomm Stadium here in San Diego. San Francisco 49ers coming, thank you.
Foreigner.
San Francisco 49ers coming in town to play the San Diego Chargers. And here's the thing, it's must win for the Chargers from here on out. And the 49ers have had some big wins, and believe it or not, even at 5-8, only one game out.
Right.
In the NFC West, or in the NFC West. So that's a pretty interesting situation for both teams. This is really playoff implication game. Both teams are in the same boat. They're both one game out.
Yep.
I think if you look though on paper, and I'm going to give you some numbers that'll blow you away. We got a lot of cool things in the show. I'm going to give you numbers about the Chargers, who they are as a team, and we can quantify it. I mean, it's totally quantifiable. Also, we're going to have a clip of a huge prediction that you and I made on this show on Thursday that happened to come true. A very bold prediction, not just who's going to win, who isn't, a 50-50 deal, but a very bold prediction that we got correct. Also, Nene, by the way, was completely removed from implication. He was absolutely not involved in the altercation, quote.
Nice to know.
Yeah, and that's from the police captain, the San Diego Police Department, Chris Ball. He said that he was absolutely not involved, that there was a witness who had not been drinking, who was a designated driver, who was able to point out that Nene was not involved at all with that. So let's clear the air on that right away before we start jumping into some of these other things. But let's take a look. We're going to talk about salary cap for baseball. Should that be something that happens? And what about the opposite? Should we remove the salary cap on the other side for some of these other sports, like basketball, like football? What would the implications of that be? So we got some cool stuff going on. Now, I'm going to talk about Chargers a lot today because I think the Chargers are going to smear the 49ers.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, I think that's just going to just be a brutal beating tonight. If you go back and look at the tape of what the Chargers did to the Kansas City Chiefs, which is who they are behind right now, it did not look like they were the second-place team playing the first-place team.
No.
I mean, they won that game in the trenches. They beat people up at the line, ran the ball at will, completely stuffed the Kansas City Chiefs to 67 total yards of offense, only 5 first downs. That is absolutely unheard of in the NFL. I don't care who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Not crazy for us to drop the 31 points, but to pitch the shutout at the same time. I mean, it was just, like you said, domination.
Shutouts don't happen in the NFL, and they shouldn't, and that was pretty crazy. So here, let's quantify the San Diego Chargers real quick. A lot of people don't know this. San Diego Chargers, in the 6 top categories, 3 offensive, 3 defensive, we're talking about total offense, total defense, passing on offense, passing on defense, rushing on offense, rushing on defense. Total offense, San Diego Chargers are number 2 now, just a few yards behind the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mr. Vick.
Mr. Vick and his impact has been huge. He's ran them up that list all year, and now they're at the top. Just a few yards behind, though. Very comparable. San Diego Chargers are number 2. Total defense, San Diego Chargers, number 1.
Nice.
Allowing a total of 265 yards a game, number 1 team. Okay, go back to offense, passing, San Diego Chargers, number 2, right behind the Indianapolis Colts, who are also going to be playing for their playoff life against the Jacksonville Jaguars this weekend.
Yeah.
In a huge game.
Yep.
So we're second in that.
Did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Jacksonville stunk at the beginning of the year. Indy, everybody figured was going to be great.
Well, they're usually 10-2 right now.
Yeah. They're toiling in mediocrity.
Yeah. I mean, they're in a bad spot. The Indianapolis Colts are in a really bad spot because if they lose tonight, it's over. And they've never been in that situation with 3 games left. They're usually resting guys at this point of the year and trying to decide if Peyton's going to play in the second quarter or they're going to get him out after the first quarter. So passing on defense, San Diego Chargers, number 1. Rushing on defense, San Diego Chargers, number 4. So we're in the top 5. In 5 out of the 6 most important statistical categories on offense and defense, rushing yards per game from an offensive perspective, we're 13th. Okay? And that's the only thing we're out of the top 5 on. The San Francisco 49ers are not even on the page here.
Yeah.
They're nowhere.
You know what? Tell me if I'm wrong, but my thought is if you went around the room with a bunch of guys, maybe it's talking heads like ourselves on the radio or other people who know something about football. And you say, name me the 5 best defenses in the NFL. Did I even mention the Chargers? I mean, I know if you're in the know, you've seen the stats, you know that they're ranked number 1, but you're thinking about Baltimore, you're thinking about Pittsburgh, you're thinking about
Chicago.
Maybe, Chicago. I don't know if people even think about San Diego as a defensive team because it's all Phillip Rivers.
It's been that way for a long time. When we had the team that should have won the Super Bowl when we blew it in the playoffs, that year we had the best defense in the NFL, and everyone knew it. But they were underrated until the very end of the year and then blew it. This defense is better for us because they are off the radar.
Yeah.
They're off the radar, but they're stopping the run, and they're winning these games. And the battle at the line of scrimmage, which is where this game is won. The NFL game is played at the line of scrimmage. And that's where it's won or lost. It's the battle in the trenches, the big guys who you don't know about, even on your favorite team. Those are the guys who have to win the game or not. And if you go back and look at the pass protection for Phillip Rivers, if you go back and look at the run blocking in the Kansas City game, that has nothing to do with Kansas City's quarterback not being there, And those are the things that are really important. If you give Phillip Rivers time, forget about it, especially with a full cast of receivers.
Yeah.
And if we can run the ball on top of that and get a couple of touchdowns that way, this game with San Francisco is going to be one of those 42-7 games. It's going to be an absolute crushing. But you can never count out a hungry football team. You still have to go out and play the game.
And I would have said the same thing, 2 weeks ago before we played the Raiders and got our butts kicked.
Yeah.
They're just weird things happen. So it's not like it's an uninteresting game.
No.
You still got to tune in and cheer them on.
The NFL Network
Should be
is
fun.
very proud of this game.
We've got it local. We get to see it local. We sold enough tickets.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well,
Yep.
San Francisco will do that. The Oakland games will do that. The Patriots games will do that. You get to see, those games in particular. Which is really cool. I'm glad that is the case because not everybody has the NFL Network.
Yeah.
I've got it, but not everybody else does. And so, I'm happy to hear that. And that's one of the things I want to talk about today because it's been spinning, it's been spiraling on the NFL Network about, owners, obviously. Economy has hurt everybody. There's been a lot of blackouts around the league, and that just downward spirals the profitability of these franchises. Because when you start shutting off the games, you're pissing people off. And a lot of those people are people who can't afford to necessarily go to the games, but are diehard fans. You're pissing off this is a very blue collar sport. The fans that are really into the NFL, it's very blue collar. So there's been some problems monetarily for a lot of the owners and a lot of these franchises in general. And one of the things they're talking about is it possible to extend the season? To create an extra couple, 3 or 4 regular season games.
Right.
And that's a big topic right now that's on the table that we're definitely going to cross paths with in this show. Because the way I see it, you don't even need to do that. They're totally thinking the wrong way about this thing. They're totally thinking the wrong way. They're thinking they need to do more of the same instead of finding out a way to be more efficient with what they've got. In other words, forget plugging the holes in the bucket. Let's put another hose in. Let's put more water. You know what I'm saying? And that's the wrong way to look at a problem in any business. You never want to look at, let's just get another fire hose to fill the bucket up faster. Let's figure out how to plug some of these holes that we've got. And I think you have to do that in any business.
Absolutely. And you talk to anybody running a business in the last couple of years, everybody's been patching some holes.
Yeah.
Downsizing your office size or whatever the case might be. You got to cut back on some expenses, but those billionaires aren't interested in patching holes. and as a fan, the reason it gets any legs around the country is because everybody hates the preseason. So the idea of, let's make one of those real, that resonates a little bit. Oh, cool. I hate the preseason, so give me a real game instead. But
let's call the preseason what it really is.
We talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice. Practice, man. How silly is that?
It should be free to get.
Those games should be free to season ticket holders. They should cost $10 to anybody else.
You heard it straight right here. It's Lunch Hour, Mr. Credit on ESPN 1700. We got the Z-Man, Zephyr Hill, Goldberg Jones, and 1-800-DIVORCE here in San Diego for all of your family law needs. Do what I did. Do what Mr. Credit did. Call 1-800-DIVORCE. use Goldberg Jones, fellas. Trust me on this one. It's guys time in there. Really cool office setup. Awesome atmosphere. Execute well. And you get free legal advice over the phone. Free game planning with the Z-Man directly if you call 1-800-DIVORCE. Got to call that number. Just because the number says divorce doesn't mean that's all they handle. It could be anything from custody, spousal support, child support, whatever it may be, separation, anything. Do the right thing. Make sure you're covered. Don't think that you know what to do here, and don't give up more than you need to. Call 1-800-DIVORCE or do a search online. Just Google Goldberg Jones in San Diego, and you will find them there. All right, when we come back, we've got some really good stuff here. First of all, there's a big sports name who wants to fund a playoff in college football. A huge sports name is taking it extremely serious and wants to actually fund it.
Nice.
That's how serious it is. We're going to get to that story and the salary cap talks when we come back. It's the lunch hour, Mr. Credit, on ESPN 1700. We'll be right back.
Are you sick and tired of just barely making the minimum payments on your credit cards? Do you have any idea how many years it will take for you to pay them off? Hi, Mr. Credit here. If you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, listen very closely. Filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy protection could allow you to eliminate all of your credit card debt and typically only lasts about 3 months. Most likely, your credit score will go much higher afterward. The only person I recommend you speak with about this is William McDonald with the McDonald Legal Group. Call him right now. 858-437-0103. That's 858-437-0103. A 90-day late payment on a credit card will hurt your credit score as much as filing for bankruptcy will. So stop living paycheck to paycheck and call William right now for your free consultation. 858-437-0103. That's 858-437-0103.
This is Lisa with the McDonald Legal Group. We are a debt relief agency. We help people file for bankruptcy relief under the Bankruptcy Code.
My mortgage guy, Craig Sewing with the Craig Sewing Group, Mission Valley and Gateway Funding. I know, and you say this all the time, in difficulty lies opportunity. There is a ton of opportunity in this market right now.
Obviously, refinancing, the best opportunity we're ever going to see. The Fed has just pledged $600 billion in this quantitative easing, which causes mortgage rates to move to insane lows. I would actually change the terminology from refinance to re-strategize, because you can also look at if things are going okay for you. Maybe you want to knock some years off your mortgage, go to a 20-year or even a 15-year, which you usually wouldn't be able to do in most markets, but when you have historically low interest rates, essentially allows you to cut those years off, not see that payment go up.
What you're telling me is, it's not about rate, it's not about term, it's about strategy. How much money are we putting away? I mean, you're going to pay interest, but the question is how much. And when it comes to refinancing, I think you said it the best way. Restructuring is the right thing to do. Listen, if you own a home, you have to do yourself and your family this favor. You have to call Craig Sewing today. 888-880-9500. Do not send any more money to the banks than you have to. It's just not worth it. That's your money. You get to keep it. You get to spend it on what you want to. 888-880-9500. Folks, CraigSewing.com is the website. If you want to do a quick email, Craig Sewing, like a sewing machine.com, or just give Craig a call. 888-880-9500. See how much money you can save on a refinance. You owe that to yourself. And if you're not in the market, if you haven't owned a home, if you avoided, the bubble that burst here, a few years back, hey, great.
Nice job.
You won. You win. Now it's time to cash in. 888-880-9500.
Have you or your spouse experienced a loss or reduction of income? Are your house payments too much to handle? Now is the time to take action. Do a short sale the right way with Joel Kanong, San Diego's short sale expert. You do have options. Call today and get your free consultation with Joel. 855-2-UNDERWATER. That's 855-2-UNDERWATER to see how you can get this financial gorilla called a mortgage payment out of your hair and wipe the slate clean. 855-2-UNDERWATER for your free consultation.
I never look at my spam.
Really? See, the problem when I do that is that if I trust the spam filter, now all of a sudden people are like, I emailed you.
I don't trust it at work.